Sure, thank you, Abby. And once again, welcome to everyone to this Sustainability Centers Community Event Series. My name is Divya Singhal. I am a faculty at the Goa Institute of Management, India, and I'm also leading a Center for Social Sensitivity and Action. With me, we have, Dr. Padmanabhan. Dr. Padmanabhan is a faculty in the area of OBHR at GIM, and he is also currently chairing the Give Goa initiative, about which we are going to talk about. Go to my next slide. Okay, this is done. Now, before we start, we want to present some context to you all. First of all, when we talk about the need for these kind of practices, this quote comes to our mind. Professor Mintzberg emphasized that the change is required the way the traditional MBAs are run. He talked about again and again that there is a need to step back from the pressures and to reflect on their experiences. He has always proposed that the schools right now, they are actually kind of creating a neo aristocracy, and this needs to change. And what will change this? He proposed that if the managers need to really learn, they need to go beyond the classrooms, and they need to be in the environment with, maybe with other managers or with the community. So with this background, we are starting, sharing about this initiative. Also, there are a lot of studies which talked about that there is still a theory practice gap. Still, the traditional way the curriculum is designed, the competencies which the traditional curriculum is addressing is inadequate. Why it is inadequate? Because the challenges are multifold, and because the world is advancing, there are newer complex problems, and the societal nuances, people, the graduates, and especially the MBA graduates, they're not aware, because they come from elite background, they attend the courses, and they go back, and then they design the products or services or solutions for the society. So, a lot of studies, and some of the scholars we have quoted on the screen, they're talking about how there is still that theory practice gap. Let us also present to you now a different data point. This is a study which was done, and the study talked about the state of workplace empathy. And as per the study, as you can see on the screen, 93% of the employees stated that they would like to be staying with more empathetic employer. And of course, the 82% said that they would consider leaving for a more empathetic company. We all know that COVID pandemic has highlighted, or rather emphasized, the need for empathy. So empathy is an essential skill which we are, seeing today. And in that context, since 2003, 2004, the scholars are writing about these, the gap thing. So I want to present to you another study by ACSB. There was a task force, Management Education Task Force, which talked about that the management graduates are very good in analytical skills. And the task force talked about that, yes, we understand that analytical skills are essential competencies. But the report talked about that the management graduates, they are unable to connect with the society, because the traditional curriculum, again, the curriculum gap, that this business school curriculum is not able to develop that sufficient sensitivity which is required in today's world. So that report highlighted how there is a need that students gain exposure to a wider world and wider range of issues. The report highlighted that they need to connect with the society. I was participating in around 2005-06. I was participating in a colloquium, and that colloquium was talking about, are we really giving our students a chance to go and connect with the society? So of course, there were a lot of such incidents which were happening around that 2007-8 time. And we all know that around that time, there were a lot of ethical lapses which came into limelight. So there were internal triggers also, and there were external triggers also for Goa Institute of Management to revisit our own curriculum and what we are offering. As I mentioned about that need to revisit what we are offering was triggered by some external factors like those ethical lapses, and those business scandals acted as a wake-up call, not only, of course, for the GIM, but I think a wake-up call for business schools in general. And around that time, there was again an increased discussion about the role of business in society. And of course, the internal trigger for us was the need to differentiate ourselves. And also in our mission and vision, we were always writing and talking about creating responsible, transformative leaders. So when we revisited, we realized that there is really a gap the way we have designed our curriculum. Of course, there are silos which exist, and it's very hard to break those kind of silos. So that time when we were discussing about this need, we realized that what can we do in our curriculum to bridge this gap, which is evident, highlighted time and again by the scholars. And when we didn't wanted our graduates to graduate without having an understanding about the real life challenges. So in 2008-9, a group of faculty members, and I was very fortunate to be part of that founding team. In 9-10, we started reading a lot about understanding the several practices or the several pedagogical interventions which can, by which we can at least try to bridge this kind of gap. Of course, I know that many of you may be more familiar with the service learning pedagogy. But very quickly, let me highlight that when we were researching about the pedagogies which serve our purpose, because our main purpose was that we wanted our graduates to be sensitive enough about the societal needs. And then, because when we deliberated, we realized that when we want them to become a transformative or responsible leaders, that responsibility will only come when they have the awareness, when they feel about that. So the empathy become a very important integral part of the entire, our offering. So the service learning, as the literature says, that service learning is an experiential approach. And the best part about the service learning is it has an action component and it has a reflection component. And that, when you do something and then after that you reflect, so real learning happens when you reflect on your actions. So we really like the way the service learning pedagogy is structured, and of course it works with the explicit learning objectives. It has a strong reflection component. So we chose this service learning. And of course, the literature also talked about that service learning pedagogy as a strong mechanism to cultivate empathy and citizenship. And we thought that this is aligning with our vision, what we want to create through this, whatever we were trying to create. We were not sure around 2009-10 what we are going to create, but we wanted to create something which provide our students that opportunity to work with the community and an opportunity to sensitize them about the societal needs. Of course, we can quote a lot of other scholars who have been talking about that how the service learning pedagogy allows students to relate issues which are present in the society because they serve the community, and in their reflection that comes very easily. Now, how that is designed, that was designed in our institute. So in 2010, we decided that we are going to offer this as a mandatory course, and we assigned this as a 4 credit. So 1 credit means the 10-hour classroom session. So 4 credit translate into approximately 40 hours classroom sessions, but it is actually beyond that because the students, when they go out And let me just very quickly talk about that, how this course is executed. So there is a 3 credit, which is a Give Goa component. We named it as Give Goa because we are situated in Goa. And as I mentioned, when we were reflecting on, when we were reviewing our own curriculum in around 2008-9, that time we realized that we are situated in Goa. And of course, we do some initiatives, we take some initiative, but we are not really giving back to the society. So one is giving back to the society and that need to bridge that gap. So we designed this course where the 3 credit, the major component was the experiential learning, Give Goa, based on the service learning pedagogy. And 1 credit was the classroom sessions. And why the classroom sessions? Because before students go out in their community, we wanted them to understand the role of business in society. We wanted them to understand a bit of project management. We wanted to inculcate that some bit of how you are going to work in the team. So that's how the course was designed. Now from here onwards, we will talk more about this Give Goa component, which is the service learning pedagogical base approach at our institute. Now when we executed this, so these projects were executed in 2011, and these project, or the Give Goa projects, which we say, were aimed to help students become more socially aware, and of course the incline towards taking responsibility for community. So we thought that these projects will enable students to, first of all, describe the real world problems and circumstances faced by the community. What are the real challenges? Realizing that need and then feeling inclined towards that is something which we thought that, first of all, they after attending this service learning projects, they may be able to describe the real world problem, they realize the need, and not only they realize the need, but they help them, they act upon those needs and implement some changes. So that was our aim. Now, how it was operationalized? Of course, the students were at the core, the center. We had faculty guides. So each project, I'll talk about that, how the students were formed and how the entire thing was executed. We had an important stakeholder, our partner organization, and of course, Give Goa coordination team. So let me first speak about the students. That time we were offering a 2-year postgraduate graduate diploma in management, 240 students. So all 240 students divided into groups. So a group of 5 or 6 members, so which means 40 or 42 groups. When the groups were formed, we made sure that groups are diverse. And when I'm saying diverse means, of course, the gender representation and also the local language, because ultimately these groups will be working with the community. So we realize that, of course, the language becomes a very important part of the connect. Goa is a Konkani speaking area, but people understand even the Marathi. So we wanted each group to have at least a Konkani or Marathi speaking person. So that's how the group formation was done. The faculty guides played an important role. I'll talk about this in a minute, but let me talk about the partner organization. So partner organization, how the students worked, or where the students work. Students work with the partner like corporates, banks, NGOs, government departments, government institutions, schools. So these are the partner organization. And through these partner organization, they reach to the direct beneficiaries. So for example, if the students work with schools, so their beneficiaries were the dropout kids, or the kids who were unable to comprehend, let's say, English or maths, or even their beneficiaries were teachers to train them into, let's say, the computer skills. When they worked with NGOs, their direct beneficiaries were artisans. Their direct beneficiaries were self-help group women. When they were working with government departments like zonal agriculture office, their direct beneficiaries were farmers. So, I will talk about more about the nature of the project, but these are the partner organization. Now, the Give Goa coordination team played a very important role. So Give Goa coordination team means the 3 or 4 faculty members who are supported by the admin staff, and they will drive the entire process of execution of these projects. And of course, in our institute, the Samarthan, which was organic, it was not a student club before, but as the institute started this Give Goa initiative in 2011, in 2012-13, the Samarthan team organically formed, and student till date, they are helping in the executing these projects. So there's one side, the student groups, there is another side, the partner organizations, which the Give Goa coordination team, they go out and they interact with these different entities, these different partner organizations. They create those projects. So there is a mutual understanding between the partner organization and the Give Goa coordination team. Then those project briefs are presented to the students group, and then student groups, they we have a mechanism. So a student group provide their choice. So for example, most of our projects are into the field of agriculture, health, education, and livelihoods space. So student, they provide their choices, and then there is a mapping which is being done after the partner organization make their presentation. We also have important stakeholder, faculty guides. All our groups are guided by one faculty member. And this entire Give Goa is a 1-year program. So when we say 1 year, how it is executed, every Thursdays, for 20 Thursdays, students visit these partner organization, the communities, they work with the communities, and so when I say 20 Thursdays, so which means the project starts generally in August and they end up to February, March, because in between there are midterm exams, there are end exams, there are some holidays. So 20 Thursdays. So each Thursday is their visit day. But the projects are not just the Thursdays, because with the faculty guide, there is a weekly meetings, and these weekly meetings are, of course, a platform for reflection and also a platform to plan the visit ahead. So this is the operationalization part. As I mentioned, 20 Thursdays for year-long projects. Now, to talk about the nature of projects are really very different. So one project is different from another project. In what sense? So for example, a group of students, they worked with artisans, local artisans, in building their capability about the marketing, or they worked with self-help group women to help them connect with the markets. Or if they were working with farmers, how do they actually help the farmers to improve their productivity through better linkages, or maybe soil testing, soil mapping. They worked with students, they worked with autistic students, they worked with the disabled people with different abilities. They work with the LGBTQ, creating awareness about the LGBTQ. And they work with variety of different issues with the partner organizations. On the health front, they worked on creating awareness about the, let's say, vector-borne disease, or they worked with the NGO to do health mapping of a village, or they worked with the slum dwellers to provide them the basic awareness about the basic hygiene, sanitation. So these were the different, kind of projects which were done. When we talk about the empathy, and empathy, of course, for us is that awareness, which is a cognitive empathy, which we talked about, that understanding the real reality, the social reality, what is happening on ground. Also, that affective empathy, that affective aspect of the empathy that students must feel. So it's not just at the cognitive level or the awareness level. They must also feel, and then in turn, it should reflect in some action. So for us, the empathy continuum is cognitive, is affective, and also the empathy concern, that a willingness to do something. Now, before we move forward, we wanted to share this small video. And after this video, we'll take a pause and invite some quick reflections or questions, and then we will move forward about more reflections from our own alumni. So here goes this video.
Goa for me has been synonymous with my entire life at GIM. Everyone has a skill set. As they say, that nobody has a disability, everyone has an ability. So that definitely, in today's point, when I look back, it has taught me a life lesson. I've learned to give back to the society from which we belong. Tremendous learning curve for me.
That they shared a common purpose. They all deeply cared about the children and the families that they were working for. And this is something that I have tried to instill in teams that I work with even today, to have that common purpose, to go beyond your deliveries and your top lines and your bottom lines, and to have a goal, a broader goal in place that everybody in the team aligns on. And I think that really is one huge ingredient that goes towards successful teams.
So that was about, our efforts which we have done through service learning project. And for us, it was more about the perspective building through these projects. So at this juncture, we'll take a pause and invite some questions if you have. Any questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Fernanda, please.
Yes, Divya, I have one. If I understood right, it's a mandatory program, this one, right?
Yes, it's a mandatory program.
And have you ever faced some resistance of a group or of some students? And if you did, how do you deal with that?
So, we didn't face resistance from students, of course, because it was made mandatory with an intention. When we realized 2009-10, we were not doing enough to give back to the society as well as to create that sensitization, we made a conscious choice to make it mandatory because we wanted all our graduates to go through this experience. So that way, if we would have done this an elective, or maybe for a certain section of the society or one program, then maybe a resistance would have come. But we faced a lot of challenges in the beginning. People thought it is a gimmick. It is, what these kind of 20 Thursdays will achieve. So that kind of resistance. Faculty was also apprehensive that whether we will be able to sensitize students, the students who come from elite background, whether they will be ready to work with farmers, whether they will be ready to go to the slum areas, whether they will be willing to go to the villages which are deep, rural areas, tribal areas, work with them. So those kind of challenges came, but because we have completed a decade now, so that the decade-long experience have taught us a lot of things. We changed the way we operated. We change our, of course, because it is a graded program. So please understand, when the projects are different in nature, how do we bring objectivity, and what are we measuring? First of all, are we measuring how many kids you have educated if you are working, let's say, on creating awareness of health and sanitation? But we didn't look at the numbers. So the evaluation was also a thoughtful process. And I will not say that from the year one, we were having a, right evaluation mechanism. It evolved over the years. So for example, in a reflection report, we carefully crafted reflection report anchor questions. Students generally, we don't teach our students, or I was not taught how to reflect. I was always taught how to report. So I only learned reporting. I didn't learn reflections. So initially in the weekly meetings with the faculty, and of course, as a faculty, I also evolved as a faculty guide over the years. So when I asked, just to give you an example, and then I will ask Padmanabhan to share his, or add to that. So my group was working with farmers. Okay, so it was their first visit to the field with the farmers. And most of that group students were from the northern part of India, and none of them had any kind of experience going to the villages. So this was their first experience in the villages, first experience going and meeting the farmers. So students come back, I have a reflection session with them, and I'm asking, just share about your experiences, what you felt, how was it? So one girl, first of all, she said that, ma'am, I went with a notion that I will meet a person who is barely having some clothes, or maybe it's a house which is a kacha house. There will be basic hygiene will not be there. But when I went, I realized, oh my God, it's a pakka house, and the farmer also has a car. Farmer also has, so that kind of your own conditioning, first of all. Second thing, when she went to the field, so this girl reflected back, and she said that she showed me her hands like this, and she said that I was there on the field for 4 hours, and all you can see is my hands bitten by mosquitoes. At that moment, I realized how difficult it is to work entire day. And I think that reflection, and she said that I will remember this. So I told her, this is experience. And now you have gained that perspective. So of course, there were resistance. There were different kind of resistance. There were different kind of challenges. But that's so. Padmanabhan, you would like to add, or we'll take Eric and Christina's point of view first.
Yeah, fine. So one thought for the resistance which came. So I have taken. I've been taken to Goa program this year. I've been associated with Goa since 2011, since it was initiated. So now I'm in a different part of the table to observe Goa functioning. So some of the resistance or challenges which we could see is there are at least two types. One is there is positively, there are encouragement, motivation related resistance. So when I say resisting positively, they have there's already a story about Give Goa program. When they enter the institute, there are a lot of stories that they read through it. So they come with a kind of a different idea that they're going to replicate something what they have done, their seniors have done, and they're going to do it over here. When they get a different kind of project, they ask for, we want a project like that what they have done. So the projects are not under our control. Projects are with the clients. So every year project, the clients come and pitch a project, and the projects are very different in nature. So for instance, one of the resistance that I had encountered was with a group of students who had got a project from a village school. So the village school teachers wanted these students to do a personality development course for the students. So these students, they said, we don't have any skill in teaching the students in personality development, and it's a 20 Thursdays long. We have a lot of breaks. We want a different kind of project. I refer to a particular project which happened in the 2-3 years back. So that is one kind of resistance. Second kind of resistance, we are in the, for instance, the current year, we are in the 10th week of the Give Go program. So if it's like the one word that comes to me here is, just imagine a bunch of startups and a group of venture capitalists investing in it. It's not all these startups flourishes. Okay, some startups frizzles out, some startups blossoms, some startups are really promising. So this is what and a description that I could give for a Give Go projects. Some are going up very promising. Some are some efforts need to be taken. Some are we could see that it's somewhere something is frizzling out. Because there are, as Divya was mentioning about, there are 3 pillars are here for a Give Go program: client pillar, faculty pillar, and students pillar. If client can be really motivated and faculties can be really motivated, if there is a motivation problem with the students, it can fizzle out. Client can be motivated, students can be motivated, the faculty is not engaging enough, again the project can fizzle out. If faculty and the students are really engaging, but the client's project is quite vague, and it takes longer time to solidify, the client doesn't have a time to do a solidification, then again the project fizzles out. These are some of the learnings. So because of these issues, there also resistance comes also. The entire 10 Thursdays, like we need to sustain the momentum of the students to be part of the project. Else it becomes like somewhere we have missed the running part of it. So we are still in observation mode actually. Every year is different. Every year the phenomena is different. Every year the resistance are different, but we're trying to find out the patterns. We are trying to create structures, processes, and systems around it. We cannot use stick. We only can use encouragement. For instance, one way we are trying to handle a resistance is, for instance, for a small group which did a project on disability, we invited a stakeholders, and we told the group, hey, look here, there are stakeholders are here, wanted to hear about your project. And we created a webinar, and on the disability day, World Disability Day, which was fortnight back, students were really encouraged, and they started talking about it. So now this group is level 2. Okay, and next 10 Thursdays, I think their level of engagement will be a little different over than the level of engagement the past 10 weeks. So it's like a what you call punctuated equilibrium. So the overall assumption about from point 0 to A, now we cannot sustain the same assumption. We have to move to the different assumption. Okay, else a project will reach a plateau. So there we need to bring in a new kind of engagement modules to keep them in, to get out of the resistance or whatever it is. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Eric, Christina.
Hi, thank you, and thank you for sharing. We feel I think you can express the passion and how much committed you are to this program. And thank you. It's a great program, and congratulations for the having run it for 10 years. And well, so I'm intrigued about some things, because I know that at the undergraduate school we do some things because students here in Mexico need to provide hours of community service before they graduate. However, I'm intrigued about how you made it work with the students at the graduate level. So I would like for you to perhaps give us an understanding of whether these are part-time students or full-time. How do you manage with the time? And finally, I think a question that was also already answered is about the students' ability to perhaps choose or maybe like work also on the contents of the projects. And those are my questions so far. So thank you very much.
Thank you for those questions. And of course, these students are a part of our 2-year postgraduate diploma in management. So this is a residential program. Most of our students around, I will say that around 60% of our students come with some experience, generally, 1 to 3 years of experience, but there are freshers also. So which means the students who have just passed out from their undergraduate program, they join this, 2-year MBA degree. It's a full-time residential program. Now, coming about the time, because it is a course and we realize that, so we deliberated initially, should we do it 10 days immersion? So there are models which were available that students go out in the community, they live with the community, they work with the community for 10 days, 2 weeks, different models. And then they come back. But for us, the reflection component was very important. And we thought that it is not enough 10 days exposure. We wanted them to have a longer experience. So we carefully crafted that, can we find out one day from our schedule, which is purely for this Give Goa. So we, in our institute, the Thursdays are known as Give Goa Thursdays. So Thursday is a non-teaching day. The students morning, they go out. And by the way, I forgot to mention the transport arrangement. Of course, Goa is a small state, but the transport arrangements from the campus to the location. So sometimes students take 2 hours to reach to their beneficiaries' location. So that transport arrangement is done by the institute for all 40-45 groups. So that because institute was committed, and that is why the time was not a problem for us, because it was a thoughtful decision from the day one. We have always kept it as a Thursday. As we grew, for example, when we started this, we only had PGDM in management, general management. Then we offered healthcare management program. Then we also started offering big data analytics program. So newer program got added. Then what happened? All other programs also replicated the same model. Healthcare students also work. They also have a Give Goa Health, but their Give Goa Health is, their projects are largely related with the health. Now, what has started happening because of Thursday thing, the getting the transport for so many groups, 60 groups, 70 groups, we were finding it difficult. So the healthcare program now runs on Wednesdays, and the PGDM program runs on Thursdays. So, but we still able to manage that kind of change. So I hope I have answered your question. Did I miss something?
Yeah, there was one point Professor was mentioning about, which is about the content of the program, choosing the, am I right, Professor? I think you were asking about whether student has an,
yeah, I think you explained a little bit. Yeah.
So in fact, in the beginning of the program, the month of June, first and second week of June, clients are invited to make their presentation. And so it ranges from, a farmers group making a presentation. You can have a Confederation of Indian Industry chapter in Goa. They make a presentation on varieties of social responsibility projects that they have. So varieties of projects are there. So every week for 10 to 12 days, they come down and make a presentation over here in front of the entire batch. So at the end of the day, students make choices, and they send a mail to us that they have we have 3 to 4 options. We offer students 3 to 4 options, and based on that, then we final say is on the Give Goa office. So where if there are more number of students of choosing a particular project, then we need to go to this option 2 or option 3 and option 4. So some conversation we have to the students, and we allot it that way. So this is how, with respect to the autonomy that they have with the choosing the project. We don't force any student to pick the project. We just allow the student to listen to the client and have conversation with the client. There's a question and answer session is also there. We do everything. Then the students make a decision. So, and since there are around 37 batches or 40 batches are there, not if there are, I mean, so we need to give at least 4 to 5 choices to every student, every group. So that's how we go with it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. And thank you for waiting.
Yes, absolutely. Congratulations on 10 years in this program, and very impressive, wonderful program. So thank you for sharing it. I was just the quick context. I'm interested in how you teach reflection, so that's where I'm going with this. But just the context. So for 7 years I've in my 400 level sustainability strategy class. This is mostly seniors, all majors. We've always worked with an outside client. And of course, similar experiences. It's very transformative for the students. And but I guess I'm also fizzling out. Thinking I'm fizzling out. It's a lot of work. This is just my own class, right? This is not an institution-wide commitment. But one of the things that I have learned is all the things that I assume students know how to do that they do not. And there's a long list of things, from teamwork to project management to writing client reports, to writing effective emails to clients. But so we don't have time to get into all of that. But I just want to, given that background, reflection is one of those things that I forget. It's a skill that I had to learn, that we all have to learn. So I'm curious how you go about teaching reflection.
So thank you for that question. And as I mentioned, that our education system don't teach reflections. So in the initial 1-2 years, we had real challenges when we asked students to reflect and share their reflective journey. We didn't find that much of reflections coming. Then we carefully curated the different parts and different questions. So for example, we have in our reflection report, we ask students to reflect about their experiences with the community whom they have served and what is their learning. And there also we have some anchored questions. So for example, we ask them that, first of all, which segment of the community you were serving? What are some of the specific demographic profile, and based on your observation and interaction with the community, please describe their physical, their social, their economic environment of the village in which the community reside. The question goes, because it's all about the community, how does this profile of this community, whoever it is, maybe farmers, maybe self-help group, maybe artisans, it is compared with the national data. Then, what problems your community is facing, and then which of these problems did you address? What was the specific goal? Can you share a critical incident which impacted your journey? What were most satisfying part of your project? What was most difficult part of your project? What did you learn? To what extent, were the community's problems generated by government? Because generally we say it's a government problem or it's a NGO problem. So these kind of anchored question were even there is a section on personal takeaways for group members. So what were the initial reactions of your team members towards the community when you first went there? So we asked these questions about relating a critical incident, or have these, what your initial reaction was, and have these initial reactions to the community changed over time? Why or why not? Or please give examples. So those kind of questions when we pose to the students and then they have to write something. So that was one thing. And then, we realized that at the end of the project, if we give them these reflection questions is not enough. So that is why those weekly meetings and weekly reflection meetings with the faculty mentor. But as Professor Padmanabhan mentioned, that faculty mentors acted as an enabler in the entire project. Conversation with the faculty mentor really motivated them and gave them a direction. So reflection, I will not say we taught them how to reflect, or there was no formal session, but I think through our curated questions, we did that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So to add to what Divya was talking about, yeah, we addressed at the two levels, cognitive level and the emotional level. What did they notice? What did they observe? And what happened to them when they observed this? So this year we added these two components in their weekly reports, just to make an observation about what happened and what happened within them also. So the two parts we have added to it. So assuming that something is going, some level of reflection, learning through reflection is going to happen. So in a way, at the smallest level, the smallest component is the weekly reporting. The two questions added in this weekly reporting may contribute to the larger part of it. So that's one assumption. So as you said, Professor, like we are just experimenting, testing, experimenting. Like maybe somewhere we'll find one right mold of way of approaching. But by the time, like a new batch will come inside with a new set of attitudes. So it's a testing and experimentation only. Yes.
Is there any other question?
Can I ask just a short question? Is that okay? I'm wondering sort of how you see the effect of these Thursdays kind of seeping into the rest of the school, or seeping, or what kind of sort of longer term effects you see on the students?
I think, first of all, the Give Goa in last 10 years has given us a distinctive identity. And I say this with a great pride, because when we go for our admissions interview, one of the things which aspirants wants to talk and know more about is Give Goa experience. So when we address our aspirants and when we ask them that, what is that is motivating you and to join, because there are a lot of other business schools who are offering the equally good. So they say that we are really inspired by the Give Goa. We know that you have something called Give Goa, and it's not just a week-long program. It has. So that, I think, is something which is a distinctiveness. I think it has given us that distinctiveness, and we feel really proud. Second is, as Professor Padmanabhan was mentioning about the projects. So initial 2-3 years was really challenging for the Give Goa coordination team, because we had to literally go to the community and seek the projects that our students are available, they will do. So first of all, the partner organization were apprehensive. The MBA students will do something with the community. They will come, they will work with farmers, because we have never done this before. But over the years, now the partner organization come back to us. So we don't go out of course, Give Goa coordination team does that, careful crafting of the projects, but the partner organization approach us. So in the 10 years, the community itself has benefited in terms of, so just to give a quick example, the soil testing, soil mapping and soil testing. When we worked with Zonal Agriculture Office over the years, their report documented this, that how many farmers have been benefited by just soil mapping and soil testing. And this has improved their livelihood. So thank you. Yes, Fernanda.
I have another one. How many teachers are involved in the program?
So Padmanabhan may have a current data.
Yeah, so this year we have 37 teachers are involved in this project. So there are 37 groups and 37 teachers are involved in the project for the general management program. So for a healthcare management program, there are around 7 teachers are involved in it. 7, 8 teachers are involved in it. Okay.
And
So,
they go through any kind of training?
Yeah, so, most of our faculty guides are repeated guides. So for example, Padmanabhan is a guide for last 10 years. I'm also guiding for last 10 years, but the faculty who join newly, there is a orientation program for them. There is an induction which tells them that what is a Give Goa, what is expected from them. And of course, to motivate faculty, we have to make some, arrangements for the faculty. So for example, guiding the projects will fetch you credit. So it's part of your workload because that's important for us. So that also is a motivating. And then we say that, if you do a pro bono training for your partner organization, or if you write, that's added advantage. So, that way we are trying to nudge, soft nudge.
We have a very similar program here in our business school that we run since 2010. It's very similar, but one of the difficulties that we have is regarding teachers, because the methodology, the pedagogy that we developed here is so specific that we don't have like I am one of the teachers, and we can't train more, so we can grow the program, because we don't have teachers who had the time to invest in being trained in the methodology that is very specific. So, yeah.
So in a way, we're expecting the teachers to go almost 5 Thursdays with the students. So, for instance, the beginning 3 Thursdays are very important Thursdays for us, because that's where the project group and the client starts the interaction. The goals are defined, the proposals are made. Any hiccups in that particular first 3 weeks in understanding the project, in understanding the deliverables, if the faculty group, the faculty representatives are not involved in that particular area, the project fizzles out. So so as Divya said, during the first week, we have a kind of a roundtable facilitation meeting. So we say faculties are the important enablers, and without them, we can't run this program. As Divya said, there's one more point is that nothing can force the faculties to pick this particular project. So it's a faculty has a complete choice. So therefore, at the system and process level, we are giving an opportunity. You can have a leeway in the teaching, and you can pick this project and guide the students over it. So that is given over there. So therefore, faculties are picking up. And during that particular part, so we are telling the faculties, make sure that you are handholding the students during the first 3 weeks. So it's like being a bridge between the client and the students in understanding and gaining a perspective. Okay. And also helping the client that you can't use the students, because students are available at free of cost. You can't use them for any kind of projects. So it should be a socially grounded project, a relevant project, and it has to have a strong deliverables. For instance, one of the project had client wanted to write blogs. Okay. So in fact, the students are expected to go to the field and observe. So it's now they cannot sit in the, so therefore faculties are important to be with the students first 3 weeks. And now this is a 10th Thursday, mid of the program. Again, faculties need to have an understanding what's the journey is, where they have gone, what are the bottlenecks. So somewhere we are going to have a kind of one of the facilitators meeting, a stakeholders meeting now to understand their involvement. As you said, without faculty, it's very difficult to run this program. So some of the things that you're planning next year would be, one is visual storytelling, writing proposals. Visual storytelling is, so as of now, students only write the project. We also want to create, stories in terms of projects visually, doing a kind of a session and doing a project proposal meeting kind of session, and the measuring impacts kind of a session also we are planning for it. So we are also continuously learning about what we could do, sustain momentum, sustain motivation, continuously learning. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. So we are aware about the time also, so we can just go and share the last bit. Okay. So of course, these last decade-long experience has given us more learnings, and we are designing, redesigning, changing maybe the execution, or maybe the facilitation, maybe more mentoring, more sessions, more stakeholders meeting. But we are also continuously evaluating by way of doing research, by inviting scholars to write about our projects, interact with different entities. So this is one paper, Professor Ranjini Swami, who was the founding member of the CSSA. She and Sheila Kagan wrote a paper in 2017. Of course, there's some time, but that paper talked about, that paper had interviewed faculty, interviewed students, alumni, and that paper talked about that how this Give Goa project has enhanced the awareness about the circumstances of poor, which we wanted, the awareness, the positive feelings, the affective part, and of course that intention to help them. So the empathy continuum, where we talked about the cognitive part, affective part, and then their intention to help. And of course, we can quote a lot of students' reflections, which talked about that how this Give Goa was a humbling experience. And I will very quickly share a recent experience of a group who was, last year, a group was working on the LGBTQ awareness inside our campus. And I quote one of the students whom we interviewed. The student shared that we experienced a range of feelings prior to the project's launch, from enthusiasm, curiosity, perplexity, and skepticism. We didn't know what to anticipate, but what actually shocked us was what was to come. However, before we could have an impact on others, we had to go through our own process of becoming more sensitive to these issues, which was a significant metamorphosis that altered our perceptions. Initially, for me, as well as for other groups, many of the concepts clashed with our worldview regarding how we understood our world. There were feelings of dissonance and conflict with varying viewpoints, yet there also was a curiosity to explore point of view different from my own. I think that is a very powerful reflection by our students. And of course, we can skip the slide about the impact, but in last 10 years, the Give Goa has made difference. It has improved the livelihood. It has raised the awareness among the farmers about the sustainable agriculture practices, helped local artisans. So last 10-year journey, what CSSA has done, our center has done, we have interviewed some clients, we have interviewed some faculty guides, we interviewed some of their alumni, and we documented this journey, and we produced this commemorative volume in 2021. It's available online. I can share the link quickly with you all. So that's all from our side, and we really thank you for giving us this opportunity. And with that, Abby, can I show the next one?
Please, yeah, go ahead. That's great.
Okay, thank you. And here is the next session on January 19th.
Yes, I hope to see everyone join again. This has been really wonderful, Divya.
Okay, and then this one. Yes, Abby, go ahead, please.
Sure, yes. We just want to notify everyone to save the date for the SCC workshop, which is going to be in June in New York City. So pop it in the calendar now. We'll be starting registration next year, but make sure you block it out because we're really looking forward to